Just a little bit about me. I've been studying Chinese internal martial arts for close to 40 years. Been doing energy healing of various sorts for close to 30. Been teaching Tai Chi for close to 30 years. I've been, during that time, trying to find simpler ways of expressing stuff that we're all interested in. And to do that, I lean heavily on the work of Dr. Combs and Ken Wilbur, the developmental model that comes through there. General semantics of Alfred Kraszewski, and cell biology of James Oshman, and mostly the dialogical philosophy of Martin Buber. That's a great lover, Martin Buber. You're, oh, great. Well, that's some talks. So it's I find that's been a huge inspiration for me because it's all about, as Buber says, all living is meaning. And that is what we're talking about here. The title of this talk is actually the name of my second book, which is Finding You in a World of It. And the world of it that Buber talks about, it has a lot in common with your talk this morning, which we call the syndrome, the locked-in syndrome, yes, which is the idea that we get stuck in our conceptual view of the world and we lose touch with that authentic encounter with what is. What you were referring to as perception of, what was it? The type of perception, the authentic perception was something like that. Direct perception. Right. So direct perception coming from participatory consciousness. So I really enjoyed your talk. And is there more that I can learn? Because this some of the language is
starting next Friday.
What?
Starting next Friday, that procedure will be reading.
Oh, great. Learn more.
But then I'm also read a paper on that, and several people have asked me, so I'm trying to listen.
Well, I'm very much interested in the language you're using because it's very helpful. I'm trying to find simpler and simpler language to get across some of these ideas, how to actually access this information. So I come from a background of Chinese internal martial arts and a clinical practice where I practice energy healing. Everything is very empirical. That is, if it don't work, we're not going to use it. And particularly in the martial arts, you know, I used to compete in tournaments, and it better work. And you don't have a lot of time to figure it out, right? You've got seconds sometimes to figure out the riddle that's being posed. And during that time, I competed. I had national championships in the middleweight division of this particular martial art, and I said, okay, well, if this stuff really works, I'm going to go play against the big guys. So I went and played against the super heavyweights and the unlimited weight class, and I won national championships in the unlimited weight class as well, which was okay. There's something to this. Now, how can I language this? How can I language this? And are there more universal principles at work here than just this is a neat trick that helps me win a particular match? Right? Is there something more going on here? And this led me down a road which is a gift that just keeps on giving. Everything just leads to something a little more interesting. So the seminar today, what we're talking about, this my little talk here, is going to be really a participatory one. If you don't feel like participating, of course I'm not going to force you, but I want you to feel what's going on here. particularly was impressed with Ken Wilber's idea of the 3 strands of valid knowledge. That is, first one, there's 3 steps. One is injunction. That is, if you want to produce a certain effect, you do these steps. You follow these steps. If you follow them accurately and carefully, then you will get this particular result. That was step 1. Step 2 is apprehension. That is, by doing it, you actually are present for the event and you actually feel what's going on. You actually experience what is being produced by that injunction. The third step is confirmation. That is, other people try it, they see if it works, and those who are qualified to make a judgment about such a thing, they can say whether this is workable or not. And and for that last category, you know, say if the injunction is learning to ride a unicycle, okay, not everybody gets an opinion about what's a valid method for riding a unicycle. You better know how to ride a unicycle, or your opinion really is just an opinion. But if the collection of unicycle riders looks at your particular injunction and says, oh yes, that is a valid injunction, then you say, great, you know, we got one, we got something here, we can take this a little bit farther. So I am going to present you with some injunctions that you get to play with and see what's what. Okay, and along the way, particularly in the martial arts and in the energy healing, I have been exposed to many curious phenomena which defied all models that I had come up with up to that point. And so I said, okay, I got to look elsewhere to find the language that that explains this stuff. And that language enabled me to ask other questions, which enabled it to take it even deeper. But just give you an example. Maybe you'll help me with this one. Would you please? You'll stand up and give me a hand. But I just want to show this one little trick here. If you just turn sideways here, and if you're going to make a fist, right? And the idea is you're going to punch through my finger, right? Okay, so you're going to punch through the finger. Go ahead, so punch. Okay, so notice that one finger is able to hold back an arm, right? Even though your arm is most definitely stronger than one finger. Thank you. Something happens with that pointed finger. And we're going to play with this right now. So would someone else like to help me out with this? This is something we're all going to do, but you get to be the first one to try it. Ready?
And throw that last one and this one.
What's that?
I'm not moving now.
Yeah, okay. So if we just bring your arm out to the side, okay, you can just drop this one, and I'm going to push down with one finger, and you're going to resist, right? Okay, and notice that as strong as you are, that arm's going down, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because we got a nice long lever here, right? We got a fulcrum up here, and the muscles up here, and most of us are just not strong enough to be able to handle even this one finger going down. Right? Okay? But I want you to point at that camera back there with your index finger.
You should do it.
Okay, now you point at that camera and notice that you are immovable.
Oh my goodness.
Wait a minute. Okay? So don't point, just make a fist, make a fist, and resist. And notice it goes right down. And point in front of the doors over there. It doesn't have to be the camera, these are the doors. And notice we're back here. And notice that it didn't require bizarre, right? Now one more thing. Okay, this gets to the essence of the talk today. Okay, you're pointing, right? You're pointing. I push you down. Good, nice and strong. Okay, now think about your finger.
Yeah.
Okay, good, and notice that when you think about your finger, it breaks. It breaks it, right? Okay, and you go back and you wiggle the finger again, and you're back being superhuman. Okay, good, thank you. Okay, so what we have here, the pointing of that index finger is creating something in the body mind that unifies the whole system. And so it's no longer just a finger. That's why my finger was able to hold back the significantly more powerful muscles of your arm. It's weird. This is one of the tricks that I use to help me win championships. Was that long before I knew anything about what I'm talking about here, it worked, so I did it, and it worked again, and I did it again, and holy smokes, it's working in all kinds of situations. Then I started to teach it to people, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it wouldn't. Why? I was just feeling my finger, and a lot of people were thinking about their finger. And that brought to mind a topic which has come up a lot today, including yours, Bonita. That is whenever we are in the representational mind. That is when we're thinking about something as opposed to actually being there and connected up, you get weaker. It creates a break in the mind-body integration. Unfortunately, most of us are spending a whole lot of time in that sundered state. Okay? And it weakens us to a large degree. We're going to get more into that later. But the first thing I want you to do is I want you to try this. First of all, anybody else want to try with me before you try it on each other?
We already believe it.
Okay. I'm not looking for belief here. I want apprehension. I want you to feel.
I can try
The
it.
same thing?
Yeah, because you're on
Explanation
instruction.
behind it.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But first I want you to feel it. Yeah.
I'm curious to experience here.
Okay. Good. Okay, so just put your arm out there. Good. And resist. Good. And okay. Predictable response, right? Boom. That point. Put the doors up there. Reach over there. Then. You're strong, right?
Pretty good.
Okay. Okay. And don't point. Just resist. Okay. Good. Point. Good. Good about now. Think about your finger. And boom. Okay.
Are there any other moves you like to do with your hand for this stuff?
No. This is very interesting. This is very interesting.
Why is it pointing?
Well, try with any other finger. Try with any other finger. Again, I'm empirical, right? So you try all the fingers.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some of this. Good.
Okay, good, and
I try and do the same thing as
and you can if you were actually feeling this finger, it would work.
Right.
It would, but you were thinking about this hand, so it wasn't working, right? But if you try it now and you feel this finger, right, you're back being coherent. Okay, so it's a question of where do you put your attention? How do you connect the dots in your body mind? Right? So we take this even further. You bring your arm up here, right, nice and relaxed, good, good. There we go, good. And I push in and you resist, right, and notice that it goes down really easily, right? You point, reach up to the ceiling, and notice it doesn't go anywhere, right? We take over here, what's that?
Where is his mind when it does not?
I'm deliberately doing this in a way that he is feeling his finger, right? Because I've done this enough times, I've done this thousands of times, and if I give him too much time to think about it, your thoughts, your mind's going to go to your thought. But we get this, let's say we get this nice place here, right? This is a fairly weak structure, right? You point and reach to the ceiling, then weak structure goes away. And now, you point and reach, and I push in, and notice that he's nailed to the ground. Notice if I'm pushing in and he's not pointing, right, this collapses really easily. You point and reach out, and right? You're rooted.
Firm muscle testing response.
Okay, beautiful.
But I want to ask, was your thought on your finger when it did not go down?
It's my experience that even if you try to think about other stuff, it's hard to manipulate these kind of tests. Just because I think it's more than just what you think about, right? I mean, your mental consciousness does have some effect, but the act of pointing.
If you're thinking about anything, we do the same thing here, good? And ask him a question.
Who am I asking a question?
Ask him a question.
Are you thinking about?
And notice, as soon as he engages his mental process,
It doesn't work.
right? Because he shifted into the conceptual mode. He shifted into the it mind in order to even entertain your question. You didn't even ask the question, you didn't have to. He just shifted and boom, you moved out of that. If you just point out here and doing that, it's like, and as soon as you ask him something like that, I just talk about it, and like, bam, it creates a break in the connection. Okay? So, thank you. Okay? So, let's do it real quickly with each other, and then I'll talk about what's going on here with that, all right? So just grab a partner and just do it. So the drill is this. Watch here a second. Here's the drill. You bring your left arm out the side of that because it's usually the weaker one. Put your left hand on your partner's shoulder and just push down, push straight down, and you don't try to overwhelm the person. You just want to feel the resistance, right? And then they point and they feel the difference. It's not absolute power, it's the difference between one and the other.
Try that again, do it. Yeah, it does work. Go ahead.
I'm trying to think about it.
Okay, it's one. Yes, as soon as I stop consciousness in the finger, I'm doing one finger out.
Any questions on that particular injunction? Okay, so there's a feeling that's attached to the differential between the pointed finger and the nut. And I call that energetic coherence. That is your chi, your vital force, your bioelectricity. There's a number of ways that you can describe the internal energy. The one that I find most useful is it coherent or non-coherent? That is, does the energy play nice with itself? Or is there a lot of conflict? So an ordinary light bulb is a chaos of frequencies. So the light is coming out all over the place, and a lot of the energy is dissipated as heat. Whereas whenever you have coherent light, you have a laser. And when something is coherent, it takes on qualities that are not present in the non-coherent state. Coherent water can cut through titanium. Okay? A laser can do eye surgery. It can do all kinds of cool stuff that an ordinary light bulb can't. And that's because the coherence of the beam is able to be directed very carefully. So if you take your bioelectricity, your bioenergy, not electricity, but your bioenergy, and you make it just a little bit more coherent, cool stuff starts to happen. And this is the foundation that I think is the foundation of the Chinese internal martial arts, is that you are, by getting more coherent, you're then able to utilize your energy in a way which most of us humans are oblivious to because of the non-coherent, particularly because of that mental process, the locked-in syndrome, or what I call what Buber called the it mind, and I call the it trance. That is, whenever we're in the it trance, everything is an object, and that's all that there is, and even I'm an object. And we're getting into in a bit something that's a little bit different than that. In fact, it's a lot different than that. So one thing that you mentioned this morning was the sensory input that we get is around about 16 million bits of information. So that's, of course, that's somebody's
Even though it's
idea.
productive because it's computational.
Right, and even that is probably tiny by comparison to actually what's going on, at that internal level, at the cellular level, at the organic level. We're talking like billions of bits of information per second, of which the conscious mind is able to wrap around its tiny little focus around about 12 to 42 bits per second. Okay, and sometimes a lot less. And so I do a picture over here, and you can think of the pre-conscious mind down here, right? Pre-conscious is the lower part of this hourglass, and then at this narrow neck we have the conscious mind. Okay, so the conscious mind is this tiny little bottleneck that we go through, and then above that, then we move into the superconscious, which has a variety of names. I like to call it the superconscious, but it is when we have moved, we have transcended and included the representational mind. What did you call it in Consciousness Explained Better?
Well, I don't know that our friend Jeffrey Martin will be talking to Mark because it's a symbolic mind.
Symbolic mind for the conscious mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And to me, it's useful to think. We think that okay, I have a conscious awareness of something. That means I know that I know, right? And that has an element of self-awareness in it. So, in terms of this whole system, I think of that as awareness. We think of awareness as responsiveness to the environment, whatever environment is. So a plankton, an amoeba, whatever, can be aware, but not necessarily conscious. So the one thing that we have as humans, we are able to have this self-reflexive thought, and that can be considered our conscious mind. You can use whatever name you want for consciousness or definition you want for consciousness. This one happens to be one that works, enables me to talk about this stuff. There's something about our thinking mind, our it mind, that makes it a little bit different than the pre-conscious or the superconscious. Yeah?
Well, this is a very standard psychological way.
Yes.
But, that doesn't really work for me. I mean, like pre-conscious, I think all of it is conscious, but it is degrees of awareness. So pre-conscious, are you thinking somebody is still awake, but they're full of thoughts in their minds, so they're really sleepy?
I'm saying that most of what's going on for you right now is pre-conscious. I'm saying 99.999% of what's going on for you right now is pre-conscious.
It's not for me.
Okay, and that's fine. And I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I'm just saying that this is a model that is helpful to understand certain of the things that I'm trying to explain, and that is that the sensory information which you do not have an awareness of, like until I mention it, you know what's happening with your left elbow. You're not conscious of it, even though you're aware of it. So the awareness, just drawing that distinction, it's a.
What is the point of this?
The point of this is that.
What is the value?
of this is being able to have a language, so that when I talk about awareness, you know that I'm talking about the whole spectrum. When I'm talking about consciousness, I'm talking about the narrow band that you know. That's all. Okay? So, and we can spend the rest of the time talking just about that one definition, but work with me on this, and you can when you do your talk, you can consciousness entirely however you want to do. Okay? Yes? Okay.
We all know how to talk.
Well,
We don't know how.
My field is psychology, I understand.
But we don't know
But
how
I
we
feel
know
that
to talk.
it's-
So talking is something that the pre-conscious knows how to do, not our conscious minds. We don't know how to talk. And it turns out to be a really, really good thing. I think that's what he's talking about. That, to me, that's the point.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on. As we develop, going into yours and Ken Wilber's model, of developmental approach, we see that we move from a preconscious sensory motor stage of development, where we are incapable of conscious thought, of self-reflective thought, of symbolic thought, going up to generally considered between 1.5 and 2 years old, at which point we start to learn language, we start to become the namer. We start to name things, and it's at that point where we start to make distinctions. Okay, there's a great section from the Tao Te Ching that I'm just going to read from you here that I think provides a map for this. So the nameless was there before the earth and the sky were born. The named is the mother of the 10,000 things. In nothingness you will see its wonders. In things you will see its boundaries. These two come from the same origin, although they have different names. They emerge from somewhere deep and mysterious. This deep and mysterious place is the gateway to all wonders. It is that naming that establishes boundaries, that enables us to tell a story, enables us to conceptualize what's going on in our lives, to create meaning for ourselves. The nameless is the origin of that precedes things. So in Buber's language, it's the it mind is the mind of experience, is the mind of surfaces only. That is, we look at something, we feel something, we think about it, we are gathering information sensorily, we are conceptualizing it, naming it, telling a story, creating a narrative, putting it in a structure that we can then think about, compare, number, etc. And the more we do that, the bigger the intellect goes, and the more we move in that developmental line, the more we identify with the naming process. But in so doing, we lose contact with that preconscious mind, which is the vast majority of what's going on in any moment. And in so doing, is something that David was getting at, and what you were getting at this morning, and that is we lose contact with what's going on, with that direct perception, because what we are seeing is not the thing itself. We are seeing what we are naming it. We are the ideas that we are coming up. Yeah.
So I have an idea, but I have a question of what the distinction between the preconscious and superconscious. Is that just bringing the preconscious into conscious awareness?
That's a great question. It's exactly right. As soon as you bring the preconscious into conscious awareness, then you create this mind-body integration. It's exactly right. At which point, we kick it into the superconscious state. That integration, when that occurs, we have a glimmer of superconsciousness. If we develop that ability, and this is the essence of the internal martial arts, you can see it when David was dancing, right? There's this immersion into the feeling state, right? There was and he was, you could see it in his movements. He wasn't thinking about, okay, now I'm going to move my hand this way. It was, what's it feel like? So the ability to integrate body and mind in a nonverbal way, not naming, absent the naming function, then takes us into a superconscious state. Okay, so I've got another little injunction for you.
Sure.
And give this a try. Okay, and that is, you grab your wrist with your hand. Point your index finger first, just to get that, and feel that finger. You want to actually feel your finger, and feel that, the energetic coherence there. Now I want you to bring your awareness to your wrist. Feel your wrist with your hand. Actually feel it. You may have to move it to get the feeling of it. You want to feel your wrist with your hand. Now feel your hand with your wrist. Now feel your wrist with your hand. Now feel your hand with your wrist. Now look at your mind and notice that it's clear. You're just now. And since the superconscious transcends and includes both the conscious and the preconscious, you can talk, you can think, you can do everything, but you're also able to move immediately into the space between thoughts. You're able to go to the nothingness, which, as Dr. Duke said there, is the source of all wonders. That place where we remove the boundaries and we're just in the now. And if you can do this on a regular basis, in spite of adversity, in the midst of challenges, I was doing this while I was engaging in martial arts and actually competing and having to move to this place. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. If I can do this while someone's trying to knock me down, then it should have applications elsewhere too. It has application if someone's yelling at you, if someone's, cut you off in traffic or whatever. You are able to move to that quiet place where you're still able to think if you want to, but you don't have to. And the beautiful thing is you are able to then know without words. You move into a state of knowing which transcends language. When we do that, then we're now in the superconscious. This is where that point, where we have left the what was that? You had a good word for it there. Let's say the integralism or vision logic, which is like the height of the conventional mind. It's the level of mind. I'm quoting Combs now. It's this level of mind that understands complex systems, including the importance of intricate feedback networks and ideas of multiple causation. And at that point, we move to the next stage, I think you mentioned is the illumined mind. I think you're using Aurobindo's word there. But I'm calling that the superconscious, which covers the whole category of everything going into beyond the vision logic mind, and we're into that. So we cross over from the thinking about, even the complex thinking about stage, and into the now. And it works like crazy. Jonathan and I were teaching a class a few days ago to some very old wheelchair-bound and some not entirely there people, and the response was just amazing. This has huge clinical value. I use it with my clients all the time. And it's amazing how someone comes in and say, "Oh, I've got this anxiety. I can't get it out of my head." and you just, oh, okay, well, let's just do this, and like, this is not possible. For the first time in my life, I'm not stuck in my thoughts. Yes?
I was gonna say, in my experience, it definitely, I think, amplifies the body's ability to self-heal. A lot of times,
Yes.
when that energy is being absorbed in the useless thinking, that energy can't be used for what it can be used for what's going on in you. It's
Yes.
all just self-healing.
That's true, yes, yes. That's my experience as well, yes.
How do you use this for therapy with clients?
Yes.
How do you use it?
I'm an energy healer, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV.
I mean.
But and people come to me and let's say, recently I have a client who was stuck in thoughts of particularly guilt and all kinds of things, and she could not rest. She had TV sets on in every room in the house, so she would never have to be alone with her thoughts. And I showed her this, and it's like, oh my God. I showed her this trick. You point your finger, grab your wrist, and you fill your mind with your pre-conscious. All you're doing is bringing your awareness to what's really going on, which is the fact that most of your awareness is in your body. Most of your awareness is happening in the now, and and without the filter of the conscious mind removing you, placing you at a distance from your body. And by doing that, then it's like, actually there's you can think of it as concentric circles here. You have body here, right? And boom, and then around that you have mind. This is a real standard kind of view here. Then you have soul, right? We're talking, okay, so that if the direction of our development is up here from body up to mind, but then if we bring it back down here, then it shoots up to soul and above. Okay, and
I'd just like to attest to the fact, because I shared this case with Greg, I'm a clinical psychologist, and I worked with that woman for 9 months. And after this intervention, her anxiety and her guilt and a host of other things completely disappeared and has remained out of the picture for 4 months. So I can't explain the mysteriousness of this intervention, but I know, because I know this woman, and I have been down to hell with her, and I know her clinical pathology. I know that this is very powerful intervention. So.
You know this is what happens in sports.
yes,
I used to fence, and I was very good at it when I was in this state.
yes, exactly. We call it in the zone, right? Right, or 600 Mahaley calls it flow, right? You get we have this when you're in a state of flow, like you're meeting the challenge, and it's a challenge that's interesting enough to get your full attention, and you're connected up, and you're fencing, and there's no time to think about it.
No.
There's just now.
Before you know
Absolutely, right? Points can happen in a quarter of a second, right? It's like boom, and you're done. And in push hands, in Tai Chi push hands, when we're competing there's going to be like maybe 20 different exchanges that will happen per second that are completely invisible to anybody but the participants. But you cannot go into a thinking about mode for very long, or you're gone. Okay, so yes.
So this is just me kind of including what you're saying is kind of teaching people how to enter the zone without it being connected to a certain activity.
Precisely.
Like just sit here and be in the zone.
Precisely. In fact, you are right now. Right? You are right now in a superconscious state. And in doing so, you're able to function at a very high level. And, one of my friends, he likes to race motorcycles and cars, He, will go 180 miles an hour. I've been in a car with him where he's going 145, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and it's like, oh wow. And this was on the FDR, driving in New York City, like on a Sunday morning. It was like you know, he got it up to 145 in like just, you know, quarter mile and then back down again. So like, it was like, it never happened. It was this event, it was boom, boom, and it was over. But his response, you know, is really high. He was talking about racing sidecar motorcycles in New Zealand, and he was in the sidecar, and they falling out of the car, going like 90 miles an hour, running out of the sidecar, getting back in and going on again. And this is like a fairly common occurrence there. But you have to be at this high state of functioning to not not be injured by this kind of thing. Okay, so moving on. Any other questions on this? Yes.
Well, it would be interesting to learn from one of you how this woman's life changed.
I can tell you that afterwards.
Oh,
Reports, she's been back a couple times, and she says it's a completely changed.
does she do it regularly?
Yes, she does. She does it many times a day. It's like, it's something that doesn't cost you anything. You know, you're just, and every time you do this, you are creating. Let's do it, actually, one more thing. You do it right now. Just feel your wrist with your hand. Good. Now feel your hand with your wrist. Good. Now feel your feet on the floor. And feel your butt in the seat. Okay? And notice that the more you feel, the deeper you go into that superconscious, or the higher you go in that superconscious state. And it's a body-mind integration. And we're not losing anything by being superconscious. In fact, we're gaining a whole lot. So let's say, notice another thing is, you're in the now. You are present. Okay, so one of the qualities of the two of the qualities. The first one is his coherence of meeting. Okay, first one is coherence. You have to meet from your wholeness. How do we get to wholeness? We get coherence. If you can get your body-mind integrated, you are, for the moment, in a state of wholeness. Wholeness is a state of your personal awareness, where you are integrated in that moment. And if from there you extend outward, you are able to meet others or another with your whole being, then something magical happens. So first is coherence or wholeness. Second is presence. That is the ability to be in the moment. And that is to occupy this space, this time, now. And it is a conscious decision. Sometimes it sneaks up on us, but you have to agree to it. You have to agree to being here in this moment and choosing this moment, as opposed to going off on another trip into your memory, into your speculations about the future, anything that where your mind will take you back into the it trance. You make a choice to say, no, in this moment I'm going to be right here, doing what I'm doing. Okay, and then with that comes mindfulness. That is awareness of thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions, and the environment. And we're moving here from presence into mindfulness. That is, when we move into presence, we are in a superconscious state. We are in now. At that point, if you can then be aware of your surroundings, you are then aware of the context of the meeting. So right now, the context for me is all you beautiful people sitting there, and I'm talking, and we are meeting each other. Okay? I'm meeting you with my whole being. And this is the context. You know, and the environment, my feeling, my stance, everything, there is a mindfulness about what's going on. But I move in and out of that it awareness, oh, there are my feet. There was a fly that just went by. These are momentary things. Say, oh, okay, notice that. And return to this extension, which takes us into the next thing. This is where Buber really shone, which is the or the IU part of the equation. That is, when you encounter another, are we losing time?
No, no.
How much time we got left? Just,
A little less than.
oh, okay. So let me just get this bit about Buber, and then we can talk. So we're going from the I-it, which is the representational mind. We're thinking about stuff, to encountering another with your whole being, where you say you to your partner, and when you do it, you say it reciprocally. That is, that you are encountering another, and in that moment, they are your partner. I don't care if it's a human, a dog, a cat, a plant, a rock, whatever it is, you are saying, when you say you, then you're saying you are a co-participant, a co-creator of this moment with me. We're doing a little dance here, and we're partners in this dance. When that happens, you are in that non-objective awareness. The superconscious state is a non-objective awareness, which you can toggle in and out of moment by moment to think about stuff and then come back to it. Okay? Very simple exercise. Oh, you want something? Yes.
Well, I guess I would just like to add, I feel this is one way. There are many ways that people come into the state.
Yes.
And we describe form in some psychological ways.
I don't have time. I have only time to give you my way today, so but I've got less than 10 minutes to go.
I
So
can ask you, this is not communication, I'm just speaking objectively. I can say, I'm not asking you to say in another way. I'm saying that one way without thought is exactly that, and the other way is more than one thought, duality thought, you can say, or two thoughts, I and something else or another person. So in one case where you're describing superconsciousness is without thought, and the center just within oneself. And then if you add the physical body or another person, that is two thoughts. It's just, there are more than, I'm saying that there are more than one ways to accomplish or come to this superconsciousness.
yes, I agree. So back to the idea. So just a simple introduction for this is, Jonathan, will you join me for this? Very simple. We're going to go back to the that would be the very simple. Put your hand on your partner's chest. Look him in the eyes. Actually, do it both, and just say, "I see you." And just feel what that feels like in that moment. Okay? Just grab a partner. Very simple exercise. I see you.
Okay, we're gonna have to see each other. Okay, I see you. Huh? I don't know what it is.
You're meeting another with your whole being.
Yes, I did? I see.
I see you.
Now I gotta read the book.
Yes, that's right. I have some.
Where they go?
Health science.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, sit down.
Let me see, like.
Sorry.
Come around tomorrow. Come around tomorrow.
I'm not sure if I am.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up.
Okay, but
Questions, comments? Yes.
Yes. Have you ever created like a recorded meditation regimen to common, just a resume you suggest for somebody.
Great idea, I'll do that.
Yeah, I will do that. I'd love to hear.
Well.
Absolutely, I'll do that. Okay, thank you, I will do that.
Awesome.
Anyone else?
3 hours and finding.
I just think, I've been a student of this amazing guy for like 30 years. Just pointing thing, you don't have to think like this, just the slightest, like you're flicking a light switch, just put your presence there. You're standing in front of a crowd, a little nervous, nobody has to see you doing it. You can really literally do it 1,000 times a day. When you think about it, it's been in art history, right? Angels pointing like this, God and Adam, right? That's not a high five, that's like a point, right? So something's going on that I think he's tapping into. But it's so powerful, you can do it thousands of times a day. Anytime your mind, even at all anxious, the slightest little, like you're flicking a light switch. It's not like you don't have to go like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.